the night of August 25th to 26th, 2021. Orion all-in-one astronomy camera with the AstroCap software. It was 3 seconds per frame and 1 frame every 3 seconds. So this is a hyper time lapse. And believe it or not, it captures all the data because the exposure was 3 seconds and it's 1 frame every 3 seconds. So even though it's a hyper time lapse, all the information from that night has been captured. Well, you just have to study the frame by frame and go through it and see what it's all about. Otherwise, it would take acres of hard drives, which I don't have. This is a compressed and slowed down, just like if you go to the gear and you hit the playback speed and you put 0.5x. Well, I hardwired that in. So you could hit your gear button and go 0.5x, and it would slow it down even more so you could study the frame by frame. But all the information from that night would be there. It would just be on each frame, which is 3 seconds long. And you could study, by stepping forward or backwards through a number of frames and see what things are. So the shorter these lines are, so since anything moving is going to make like a line, it's not going to be a dot. So the shorter the dots are, the slower this thing is moving, because say it's 3 frames per second, and you get a very short line, it's moving very slow. So that would be something you would want to focus your attention on. What else is there? Well, there's a whole bunch of these. I look at them while I'm doing it. I really can't go back and double check anything, although once I get most of them posted, I will start doing that and doing like a highlights. But you could do your own highlights. You could study it. Maybe you could discover something that I haven't gotten around to. Of course, it's only 1.1 megapixels, which is 1280 by 960. The chip is very small, but the information is still there. And I used the 8mm f1 lens, which is a highly corrected lens, but still, it could have been worse. Could have been worse, could have been better. Who else was doing this? I want to know. I think NASA did a fireball patrol, but they caught the whole sky and nothing else except the fireballs. So all you would see is a blank sky and a fireball would go across. Now this is might be considered a wide-angle view, but still a narrow field. I would think it would take like 6 of these to capture the whole sky. So I had 6 of them arranged in an array. I can make some mosaic of the whole night sky. What I did is I picked a circumpolar path around the North Celestial Pole, and above the tree line, I left the trees in for scale. And then let's see what happens. Sometimes nothing happens. You could go out any random night. Maybe you see a bunch of planes, a bunch of lightning bugs, a couple of meteors, some satellites, and you say, well, that's it. And I got eaten by bugs, or I froze my can off for that. But just because you only saw one night and you think that's it. No, there's many nights that you can, and it only takes 2 minutes instead of being out between 9 and 15 hours and trying to stay awake. You can watch something in like 3 or 4 minutes. And then, like I say, you do a frame by frame, step by step. Oh, what is different from this frame to the next one? And you could still characterize the different phenomena, and then you could say, well, these are rare, and maybe we should look at these more than are common. I mean, there's quite a number of ways you could attack it, study it. I'm just saying. That was the airplane. Anything that's bright and one frame like that, that was the airplane. With the tiny little lines that move so slow. Of course, a UFO or something unexplained, well, a lot of these were taken before people had drones. Like if you were seeing a dot move across the sky and then all of a sudden go at a right angle, well, that would be very mysterious, and it would require further study. Of course, now people got drones, and there's Starlink and everything else. So, you got to, start getting used to what's what. Build a database in your mind of what you're going to focus in on. It should be done. You know, this not just me, but there should be a lot of people studying the sky. You know, maybe you'll save the planet Earth. Probably not. The meteor that's going to hit us is going to become unannounced, even though we got telescopes and radar. It's just going to sneak through the defenses and blow us all up.